Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Power Up Possibilities. Today, we are talking about one of the most highly sought classes in the world, Foundation. And it's particularly relevant because Heather's going to be traveling to Cleveland in the near future to
Yay.
teach a foundation. But even if you're watching this on a replay, this is the information you're looking for to really have a knowing as to what this class really can do for you and what possibilities it can create.
Yeah, I love the foundation. It is so amazing to both attend and facilitate.
Yeah, and before getting the details of foundation, if people are looking at this for the first time saying, Access consciousness, what is this wild thing that you guys speak of? Why not give just like a little bit of an overview of access consciousness and, how it came to be and whatever else comes to mind?
Well, it's this weird, wild, wonderful stuff that can change anything you'd like to change and create all the possibilities that you'd like to create with ease and fun. So
Yeah.
it's just been a miracle in my life.
Yeah, and mine too. I came into Access completely by accident, and every single tool that I used, which you should use all the tools as you learn them and applied, like everything in my life did get easier. And it's like the more Access I do, the more of all of life comes to me with ease, joy, and glory, which is the mantra of Access consciousness. All of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory, and that is like really the greatest gift that you get when you practice and really embrace the gift of Access consciousness. Now, foundation, though, is one particular thing within Access. What exactly is foundation, and what who would benefit most from taking a foundation class?
Well, the first time I took foundation, I actually really didn't have a good answer for what it even was. I just asked, what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? And what will my life be like in 5 years if I don't choose this? And then I just chose. And what I discovered when I got there was that it was 4 days of access consciousness tools and processes and energies and information and clearings. And it really spoke to something I've always known and really been longing for and asking for that I didn't even realize. It was just like coming home when I got there.
You know, I my first foundation class, I didn't even take it for the class. The only reason I was taking it is I became a bars facilitator,
Because I
and
was facilitating.
yeah, because I wanted to facilitate bars, right? And so, like, after you are like, when you become a bars facilitator, the one requirement really is that every year you take like one continuing education class, and you could take foundation like every year if you wanted to, and just take the same class, or there's other ones you could take. But I wanted to renew, and I'm like, well, I need to go to foundation. That's the next class, and I ended up going with Ryan and Deanna, and we were business partners at the time with the center, and we were just going to Columbus, and I had no clue what it was. All I know is it was called foundation, and I really needed it if I wanted to continue to be a bars facilitator. And everything in my life changed that weekend. It was unbelievable, and like every topic about life is really covered through relationships, through money, body processes to undo cellular memory, and biometric mimicry, which I know sounds kind of like wild and wacky terms, but just imagine if your body has locked in it like all these different things from childhood, or things that you're creating in your life because of a point of view that it's hereditary or that it runs in the family, things to undo all those wacky points of view.
Yeah, I mean, that was something that was so different for me about foundation was that, wow, we're really going to take care of my body too, not just, change energies. We're going to, change everything.
Truly, because I really appreciate too that every foundation class is different, and
Totally.
and like there's been times where when we do a body process, we've put in a movie that is going to trigger more things to be released, or we had one foundation where we got to listen to a whole bunch more of these energetic synthesis of being things that Dr. Dain Heer does, and then other ones where there were so many amazing questions that we went down
Yeah.
all these different rabbit holes of possibility. Like literally, I'm a Heather addict. Okay, like I've taken foundation probably like 5 times from Heather because it's so amazing. But I've taken it from other access consciousness facilitators. But I've gotten so much out of the way that Heather holds space in class and the way that she facilitates people with the questions that they ask. Because as soon as somebody asks a question, like Heather just follows this energy, like, okay, where can we really go with this question? And you never know where you're going to end up. It's so amazing.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, I love that all these access consciousness classes. I mean, we have in bars, access bars class, we have in the foundation class, we have a manual, we have certain things that we include in every foundation class, and it's always different based on the energy and the questions of the people in class and where the class is and what people are looking to change. And you and I were talking about this on a stream earlier today, that when someone's really looking to change something, they'll ask the question. And at that time, when they're really asking the question, it can contribute to everyone in the class changing where they have that or where they've been there and done that. And it can open up new awarenesses and possibilities for everybody.
Right. And also just kind of paralleling that stream we were on earlier today, one of the questions, the question that started access consciousness, which is now in hundreds of countries throughout the world and practiced by like foundation classes, there's over 300 people that are facilitating these classes because that's how popular access consciousness has become. But it all started with Gary Douglas asking a question, what would I like my life to look like? And like truly being in the space of receiving the awareness of that question and then following the energy. And foundation gives you all the tools to not only ask the questions, to follow the energies, and to eliminate or reduce, no, I think eliminate and destroy and uncreate all the points of view that stop you from really being you. Because that's what one of the mantras, well, there's a lot of things in access that I think are kind of like really the crux of it, empowering you to know that you know, like
Oh, yeah.
empowering you to be you in the world. Like Dr. Dain Heer, my favorite book, Being You, Changing the World. Like, what if the greatest gift you could be to the world is being you? And what if foundation is one of the greatest tools to help you get rid of all the stuff that really isn't serving that purpose and stepping into and building a foundation where you can really create your life, the life that you'd like to create and live.
Yeah, I mean, every time, you know, I consider like where I was functioning before I took the foundation many years ago. It was like, whoa, so much of it was from other people's, and we also talked about this on the stream this morning. It was from other people's projections and expectations, or their desires for me in my life, or what they felt was right. And nowhere was there the question you shared of Gary Douglas's, of what would I like my life to be like? Like if I was actually being me and creating my life, what would I be doing all day? How would I be creating money? Who would I be friends with? What would I be creating? You know, what would actually be nurturing to my body? So, you know, from that question that he asked, there's so many other questions, and it just impacts every area of life and living.
Truly, it is by far like the most impactful 4 days that I've ever experienced. I've been through a lot of different programs. Some programs that like take 2 years to get through.
Yeah.
And like this is like
Me
four
too.
days. And it's like it was such a potent change in my life. Now there is a prerequisite for a foundation, and it is access bars. There is out of the center in North Olmsted. We have it every month. If you're catching this on the replay and you'd like a foundation, reach out, let me know. I bring Heather in all the time. She is very happy to come and create a class when there is a desire for
Yeah,
change in Cleveland.
absolutely.
Like, you know, it's like she's been here many, many times. She just was here a couple months ago for Talk to the Entities, now coming back for Foundation and a couple other classes. We also do all kinds of Zoom classes. So truly, like if you have a desire for something, let us know and we can create a class around that particular thing. Not, you know, on top of just Foundation. That's really like the Cadillac class, if you will. But like something can be created pretty much for any desire for change in your world. There is a class for that. Literally, it can be created, and we can offer it. So let us know. What I don't know what question to ask. What question could I ask here that would be a great contribution for people knowing? Actually, I know exactly what question to ask. Could you share with how when you got into access? I already know the story, but it might be really relevant for people like looking at this foundation class and hearing us talk about it. What question could they ask, or what tool from Access could help them have the awareness of what this class could do for them, or if it is for them?
Well, I would encourage people to ask that question of what would I like my life to be like, which gives you, you know, as an energy, you know, what would you like your life to be like? And then from there, use the tool of, if I choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And if I don't choose this, what will my life be like in 5 years? And that was the tool that I first heard. I heard Dr. Dain Heer, the co-creator of Access Consciousness, on a radio program. similar to this, where he was talking about that tool. And I just used it for a couple days with everything. Like, if I go for a walk right now, what will my life be like in 5 years? And what will my life be like in 5 years if I don't? If I have this for dinner, what will my life be like in 5 years? And what will my life be like in 5 years if I don't? So I started with small things. And what that began to do was cultivated my own inner knowing, my own compass of what was going to create more for me.
And truly, like all the tools of access, I would encourage you when you get one that really resonates with you, commit to 3 days of using that tool in every
Yeah.
situation that you can. Like they have the whole thing of like, who does this belong to? 3 days of that. There's even an app that they created so you can download it and have like little reminders. Well, what if you download that app and use it for all these other tools to ask these questions throughout the day? And I
Yeah.
and I love that you said you started with things that are small because Dr. Dane used it for these big things. And then Gary said, well, I use it for everything. If I'm going to chew a stick of gum. And Dane's like, really? You ask if you're going to chew a stick of gum. He's like, well, what if you're going to choke on the gum? Like, you don't know. Like, you ask it for everything and only choose what really is going to create more in your life. And that creates this like upward spiral of possibility. And Foundation gives you, I don't know how many tools to actually use between the clearings and the body processes. And there's just so many things that if you really anchor every single one of these tools, my entire life has changed. Heather's entire life has changed.
Yeah.
I have friends that after Foundation, I'm getting messages from some of our other friends like, what is up with so-and-so? They're like just taking off. I'm like, it's this little secret called Foundation and you should have totally come, and like join the party of consciousness.
Yeah, and it is a party. I mean, what I love about this class is it is so fun, these 4 days. Because what if changing things that you've always wanted to change or always knew could somehow be different? What if that could be total ease and fun and laughter filled?
And I mentioned this on our stream earlier with Dr. K. Like my favorite thing when you start your classes, you start with clearings. And one of the clearings that you always do is like, what would it take for us to have more fun today than any day before? And like, imagine like waking up every day and really being in the energy of, I'm going to have more fun today than any day before. Like, what would your life look like if you really embraced and embodied that energy and only choose what was fun and light and would create more for not just you, but for humanity? Like Dr. Ding talks about moving from the kingdom of me to the kingdom of we, all these choices that create a greater set of possibilities so that all humankind can thrive. Because when you take Foundation, you're not just changing you. Like, how many people do you connect with?
Yeah.
Like how many other people do you touch and lives are impacted by how you're showing up in the world? And if you start being you, what if you're the inspiration that everybody around you starts to choose to be them too? Like, what would be the ripple effect or the multiplier effect when you start to choose more consciousness?
I know. I mean, and that just brings me to like kids, like because kids are free and access until they're, through the time that they're 15. And, you know, there's such an amazing gift to have in class. And, it does, I mean, wow, to imagine having these tools as a kid. So fun.
Oh yes, and I'm really looking forward. I believe Max and Oliver will both be taking
Yay.
Foundation, which is going to be great. And my wife will be taking Foundation. Who knows what other people are going to be in this class and
Hmm.
contributing to this next set of greater possibilities for not just ourselves, but for everybody who we touch. It's like so amazing. Is there anything we haven't touched on about Foundation or Access Consciousness that's super like juicy or relevant for people to know before we wrap up the show today?
Well, one thing I would say is a really powerful part of attending a foundation live is the body processes, and ask your body
Hmm?
because your body knows. And what does your body know? What would your body like?
And that is a really good thing for me to kind of give my final thought on that too, is after my Foundation class that I started asking questions like, what would my body like to wear? What would
Mm,
my body like to eat? And like, I went plant-based. I recently went gluten-free. And I'm not telling you like, if you take Foundation, oh my God, you can't eat stuff. Like this was just,
no, I still eat
everybody's
meat.
body's different. Like I take Heather out for lunch, like she's like eating like, the filet mignon and stuff like that. But it's really about connecting with the body and being in communion with
Yeah.
the body and like realizing that you're creating with the body and the being and not against, and it's like a whole different experience when you start being in that space, how differently things start showing up when you're like being congruent with how you're showing up in the world, being the totality of you instead of just, the being having one foot in the body and like being out there instead. Body
Yeah.
presses are so good about that, like just getting you really like embodied and really showing up in a whole different way.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, that was part of what was like driving, I guess, or motivating my seeking prior to Access Consciousness was all sorts of body stuff. And I was going to quote unquote experts, and none of it was about getting in touch with what does my body know and what has my body been telling me. And with the body processes in the foundation class, I then had the tools to have that communion and to be in a question with my body of, body, what are you telling me? And, what have I been choosing that doesn't work for you? And what could I choose that would contribute to you and create the future that you would like to have?
That is amazing. And what world would we create if we all were really in sync or congruent like that? It would be a whole different ball game, quite literally. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Heather, thank you so much for giving us the inside scoop on what a foundation is and access consciousness and all the wild, wacky, amazing possibilities that are possible when people start to choose more.
Yay, you're welcome. This was so much fun. I'm so
As always.
relaxed right now because I just had my bars run. So I'm like,
Oh man, bars, like a final note on bars. If you go to accessconsciousness.com, there is a link in the description to the Access site. You can find these bar clinics. Like we do one in Cleveland on the first Thursday of every month. There's places all over the world that do them. Go just get an experience of getting your bars run, because I fell into Access by accident. My friend became a practitioner for a class that I hosted and couldn't make it to because I double booked myself. And then he like ran my bars and I woke up like drooling on myself and I felt amazing. I had this immense set of space. Like I didn't get the
yeah.
bars hair like Heather had, obviously, because I don't have hair. But like it was like, what just happened to me? And then I immediately went out and I went on the track to become a facilitator of Access bars because it was that potent. So at the bare minimum, I invite you, please look up a bars clinic, look up a bars practitioner, get your bars run and just see what it changes for you. Because they have the saying that the worst case scenario, you'll feel like you had a great massage. The best case scenario is that your whole life will change.
Yeah. Or like right now, it's like I had 1,000 massages. I'm just like ooey gooey, relaxed, happy, like woo.
Yeah, I think Andrew Gardello once, like when he found out Ryan, he went down and he was having like 2 body classes back to back, or I forget exactly what the scenario was. He's like, oh yeah, he's liquid by now. And like, I totally get that. The body process just kind of like lets you merge and melt, and it's just like really good. So I really invite everybody, like, contribute, allow your body to be contributed to, be open to receiving. Bodies, Gary Douglas says, bodies like to be touched, they need to be touched. And that is one way we learn to receive. And we're taught like not to receive and that it's not okay to touch and all these things. And it's like, well, what else is possible in the world if you were willing to have your own point of view from your own knowing and not from what people projected onto you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What would your body love?
Oh, I like the way you said that. Okay, cool. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Please check out the links for the upcoming classes, and we hope to see you in Foundation very soon. Until next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.